Thank you so much, Keri, for joining us today on Wisdom Wednesdays. I really appreciate you doing this, and I'm really excited to get to talk to you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I love talking to you, Ashley.
Thanks. So I would love to just start off with having you introduce yourself and kind of telling us where you are today and how you got there.
Sure. So my name is Keri Rogers. I am SVP of Strategic Planning at Lennar Mortgage. I am on my 32nd-ish year in the mortgage industry. Like many others, I was, when I say born into the industry, because my family was in the industry. And I started at a very young age, even though I swore I would never join this industry. I fell in love with it very quickly, which so I understand. I do. Everybody ends up here. I had really good opportunities at a young age. So I was working just like everybody else, kind of starting, just getting my foot in the door at a low level in processing. And my mom's company merged with a larger builder mortgage company called First Mortgage Network. And I was given the opportunity to work with the leadership team, doing marketing and all kinds of different projects, which led me into the world of operations at a higher level there. And I pretty much learned everything I needed to know about the mortgage industry just working with that company. And then this is like in the late 90s, they had their own proprietary software, their own technology software. And we needed some mortgage people who were also tech savvy, and I was young and tech savvy, to move over to that side to sort of help the developers and sort of be that liaison between business and tech. And they approached me and gave me the opportunity to move and learn everything about technology, IT, from networking to phones to software development. And it was truly the coolest opportunity ever because I got to learn from the get-go how technology evolved in our industry. I was part of that. And that company went on to be pretty big. It was mortgage.com, and eventually they sold off their technology, and we were part of that package. And just went on to be ABN AMRO and service really large groups of people and initial mortgage technology.
That's really cool. I don't think I knew that we had so much in common with how we really got started in this industry. Because, like
Ah,
you, I started processor and then worked my way kind of through the operations team and was assistant manager of operations. And then I met you because
yes.
the union I used to work for was doing a big LOS transition to Encompass, and you were there. And I then moved onto the Encompass team and
Did.
was also mortgage savvy, but tech savvy. And so that's funny. I didn't know we had all of that in common.
I feel like that's how it happens for a lot of us, even though like we don't know that that's our path. You find like you like mortgage, you learn about it, and then as soon as you get a little taste of tech and you see what's possible, the people who just are drawn towards it, they just gravitate that way. My daughter, just happened to my daughter. She was a processor and she had a baby and came back to work, and now she's in IT support and she's on the Encompass support team and she loves it. So it's meant for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just had that kind of funny realization. Was it last week? I was attending the AI forum
Okay.
for MBA hosting in conjunction with Mismo, and they were talking about all the things AI can do for the mortgage industry, and that obviously is a huge has a huge tech component.
Mhm.
But even working like on the Encompass team, like there's so much that I really loved about that, like being on the tech side and kind of having that experience. I feel like I was really good with like the integration piece of that
Yep.
and like connecting all the pieces, and it really taught me the why behind
Right.
the industry as well. Like
Yeah.
knowing the back end and why we're asking for things like really puts a lot of the puzzle pieces together for like this entire industry as a whole. So it was really it's kind of a cool like way to think about the tech, because a lot of people think tech as in like maybe just IT, like on the IT side, or
Right.
just with I don't know, just like with computers, but there's so much.
Yeah. It's about strategy and solution from the tech
Yes.
perspective. That's like what our view of it is, right? Like understand, how do you connect the dots between everything? What is the why? So you can explain that to everybody and understand holistically how everything has to work together. So you nailed it. That's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, it's fun. I
Yeah.
love it.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I do too. That's fun. So, at what point in your career did you realize that tech was going to be so crucial to this industry moving forward? Because that's really the direction that we're headed.
That's a really good question. So I think I think I realized early on that it was crucial, but it was not, I would say initially it was not widely acknowledged how important it became truly like the driving factor of the success of the company. It was always like we had to have something and it was there, but people could always solve the problem. And then somewhere in our, somewhere probably in the early to like mid 2000s. And I was running a large operations, and I was also over tech, kind of doing a little bit of everything. And we did an Encompass implementation. I think this was about 2013. And as I started to understand how we could reimagine our workflow using this new technology with these new tools and really increase our quality within the workflow, that's for me like what changed my whole perspective on where we needed to go as an industry. And little by little, using the tools we had to make it human error proof upstream and like just change quality from the back end was a game changer for me. That was it. I was like, all right, this is what I need to do forever because it just made sense. And we were very successful when we did it.
That's
Yeah.
great. So I will ask you this too. Why do you think it's so important for young professionals to be interested in this area of the mortgage industry?
This is probably my favorite question and probably the one I'm most passionate about right now, and have been probably for about 5 years now. We historically have a very standard mortgage process. We all follow the same process. There's loan originators and processors and underwriters and closers. And when you really think about how long we have a mortgage for, whether it's a short period as a retail lender or a long period as a builder, there's so much that has to go into it in our industry today from a compliance perspective, from a timing perspective, from a customer service perspective. And our workflow, right, has not changed. I've been in the industry for 30 plus years. We have had the same core workflow my entire time in the industry. However, the rules have changed. Compliance has changed. Our competitiveness has changed. The market has changed, but we have not. And we keep building technology around the same, and I'm going to say it, archaic workflow. And I think more than ever, we need people who are coming in and questioning, why do we do it this way? Why does it have to be done this way? The answer can't be because we always did it this way. We really have to reimagine how we handle and how we complete tasks within the workflow to expedite the process, to simplify the process, and not have so much pressure on individuals as processors and loan originators and underwriters, and give them back the quality of life and let them trust the technology and give them the tools to do their job. Just like let them know what to work on, when to work on it, what's the most important, right? And knowing that you can see throughout the workflow everything that's been done. Like it just needs to be questioned. And we need young innovators to come in and really help drive that change in our industry.
Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like even when you and I worked together on the Encompass implementation, at the very beginning, I remember, I believe it was you saying that you were kind of coming in and questioning, like we were starting to build around the exact same way that we did it at our old LOS, and we were
Right.
just like, why are we doing this like literally the exact same thing, just on a newer
Literally.
system?
Yes.
Not what
Right.
this is. And so we were just like, okay, let's scrap everything that we just did and rethink it and try and so it was really good that we were able to kind of question it. But I love that you said like we need people to come in and say, why do we do this? Like
Yes.
again, it's the why behind why we're asking for this. Like why is it the exact same workflow you said for 30 plus years? Like we need to figure out a way where regulation can or we can keep up with the changing regulation and the changing compliance and make sure. I think people are scared to change too because
Very much.
they're scared of the compliance aspect of it. Like, well, we're in compliance now, but if we change it, we might not be. Or like they need to figure out like the back end piece too. And so there's a lot of good that can come with just asking the questions and challenging why we're doing something. So I think that's great.
And I think something as simple as like, well, why does this one person have to do all of these things? And why do they have to remember to do all of these things and do it perfectly? Why can't other people come in and do this part and this part? There's so many things that are standardized that I know
Mhm.
a lot of these things have been automated, which is super helpful and it does help us evolve. But at the end of the day, it's still one person's responsibility. And to just kind of like shift the balance of how we do things, I mean, there's just a huge opportunity right now to do that. So I feel like the younger
Yeah.
generation is really good at questioning why we've always done things the same way. And it makes us all think a little bit harder about it and question. And I love that.
Yeah, the young generation's going to have a fun time coming in and really challenging everybody. I think it'll be great.
It's already happening and I love it. I'm like, bring it on, question it, let's figure it out.
Yeah. Well, do you have any questions for me?
I think, I think one of my questions for you is how do you think we could best help bring the younger generation up to speed quicker into our world? Because you have to sort of, pay your dues, work your way through the ranks, learn about the industry. I feel like there has to be a better path to get people into this level, right? Not necessarily senior leadership, but the level where you're involved, right, in innovating in the industry. So, what are your thoughts on that?
The very first thing that comes to mind is give them a seat at the table. Bring them along with you. It doesn't matter if it's to a conference, it doesn't matter if it's to a management meeting, it doesn't matter if it's to a higher level executive meeting. The only way they're going to learn is if you include them in areas that they don't know about yet.
Right.
And it gives them opportunities. It gives them in front of the faces that may be hiring them in the future. It may be giving them opportunities to cross train different areas of their organization. It just giving them the opportunity to be in a different room or in a room where the decisions are being made and the why behind the decisions. It'll give them so much more empowerment just doing their
Yeah.
own job. And really, I mean, that's the biggest thing that happened for me, I think, too, is just getting the chance to be in the room or on a team that was doing something different than I was doing. It was like a light bulb sparked in my head, like, oh, that's really interesting to me. It
Right.
wasn't necessarily a step up, like it didn't make more money or it wasn't a bigger title, but it was something that I was really interested in and it broadened my horizons of the industry, which then gave me the opportunity to get a leg up or get that next role or next job. But just giving the young professionals the opportunity to grow, and whether that's giving them a seat at the table, giving them more education in something that's not just what they're doing. I really wholeheartedly believe cross training is the way to go
Yeah.
for whoever is interested in just learning more about the industry, because that's really where it's going to make the biggest impact. Is you just need to learn other areas. And that was how it happened for me. I know that's how it happens for a lot of people, but just giving them a seat at the table and bringing them along to areas where they can learn more information is really going
Yeah.
to accelerate careers.
I, I
And
agree.
and you're the ones that are going to teach the young generations. You're going to want to retire eventually, and so who not better to teach them how to fill your shoes than you.
Right.
So
Yeah, I do love that. One thing that we're doing this year, I think we've already started last year, is really starting to mix up who we bring out to conferences, because you're talking about conferences. And because you can learn a lot from a conference, obviously. There's so much great information shared at a conference, but you also meet people. And when you meet people and you build relationships and you collaborate with them, even if you never work with them, right? There's so many people that I still talk to or mentor today because they reach out just for advice if they're changing jobs. And I love those relationships. And I love that, that there are younger people who I've stayed connected to through projects working with past customers and, past relationships. So I think relationships too is really important for the younger people to have that opportunity. Otherwise, you're just sitting in your, in your cubicle or at home and, just talking to the same people over and over. So I love that. I'm going to take that back to me for my next meeting and make sure that everybody's aware of that.
that's
Yeah.
great. So one of the things that mPact is trying to do in conjunction with like the MBA conferences, there's select conferences that we're having impact pricing at. So annual is one of those that has special impact pricing. So at a discounted rate. So you can bring a young professional. And there's a couple other conferences that are in the works to get some impact pricing. And then we're also just doing a lot of virtual events too. So bringing that professional development to you, those types of things. So the
Good.
people that really can't come to conferences are really, and I know this year is tough. It's a really, really tough market, trying to put more things virtually for the young professionals specifically. So
That's
getting all
awesome.
that information.
Good. I love that. Well, I'll help you do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Keri. It was so great getting to talk to you today. And thank you so much for being a part of Wisdom Wednesday. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.